Now at 9, electing a successor to Pope Francis. The conclave now underway in Vatican City, and when we can expect to see the first results of the first vote.
I got my real ID in like 2020.
I'm in a bit of a pickle here.
I don't even know what it means.
Real IDs, they're taking flight today. What you need to know before you head to the airport and why your security line could be longer.
We know we have to be better in certain areas. We know we have to be better in a certain segment of the game, and we go from there.
And the Celtics looking to bounce back from that stunning collapse in Game 1 against the Knicks. What the C's need to do to create a little home court magic. First, though, here at 9 o'clock, a historic morning in Vatican City. More than 130 cardinals from across the globe attended Mass at St. Peter's Basilica this morning, marking the beginning of the conclave to pick a new pope. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for being with us. I'm Jeff Saperstone.
I'm Latoya Edwards. So later this morning, the cardinals will enter the Sistine Chapel. They will take their oath and they'll cast their first handwritten ballots. Here's a live look at the chimney on top of the chapel, where eventually the color of the smoke will tell the story of whether the Roman Catholic Church has its new leader. NBC's Jay Gray is at the Vatican with a closer look at the highly secretive process.
As the conclave begins, there's a sense this could mark an historic turning point for the Catholic faith.
Pope Francis really set Catholicism on a new course. Are we going to maintain that course, or are we going to retrench somehow?
If there is any division behind the locked doors of the Sistine Chapel, it will likely center on whether the Church continues and even expands progressive reforms initiated by Francis, or, as some conservative cardinals have suggested, returns to the more rigid roles, traditions, and doctrines that defined Catholicism for centuries.
Are we going to have a pope who gets up and says, Francis was a disaster, we need to go back to the old church? I don't think that's going to happen.
Vatican watchers say the new pope must be someone who, like Francis, can bridge the gap between factions within the church.
What Pope Francis did in emphasizing mercy, in terms of emphasizing meeting people where they are, listening to what is needed among the people of God, that defies labels of traditional versus progressive.
Those who will vote say any labels or leanings will not play a role in their decision.
We support whoever is the best person. We don't know. So, but we don't choose a pope based on continent, based on race, based on language. We choose a pope that is truly can be the successor of St. Peter. Yeah, the one who can look after the whole world.
As the whole world now waits to see who they choose. This conclave will be the largest and most diverse in the history of the Catholic Church. A vast majority of the cardinals, 108, have never taken part in this process, but that will change in just a few hours when they take their oath and cast their first ballots. At the Vatican, I'm Jay Gray. Back to you now.
Jay, great job. Stick with us here at NECN and our sister station, NBC 10 Boston, for complete coverage on the conclave. We'll keep you updated on air and online when those votes happen.
Okay, first alert weather right now, just after 9:03 this morning as we take a live look outside. Once again, beautiful city of Boston right there. Look, I have confidence that the clouds are going to break up today. I mean, we had so much rain the past couple of days.
You're right.
Right?
So we deserve a better week.
We do.
So let's check with Tevin right now.
Good morning. It's already a milder start to the day today than compared to yesterday. Temperatures at about 55 to 57 degrees. And over the next couple of hours, we're jumping up into the 60s by 9:30 and 10 o'clock this morning at about 64 to 65. And closer to midday today, we are touching 70. So above normal temperatures are expected. It will be a bit more humid today, which is why we had some of that fog and low cloud across the region too, as our overnight temperatures were on the warmer side as well. So that streams in from the south. Maybe one quick shower right now off of Block Island in the coast of Long Island, but we do actually have another system on the way that's already in view right now across portions of the Twin States and also through the Mid-South as well. So it will take some time to get here. This is the departing system. That's what brought us the rain showers yesterday, moving offshore. New system back with an area of low pressure. This is coming through on Friday morning, through Friday afternoon, through Friday evening with rounds of rainfall, but we should be much drier on Mother's Day on Sunday. So brief showers expected early Saturday morning, but the second half of the weekend looks a whole lot better. We'll time that out, plus show you a warmer forecast as well in your 10-day coming up in a few moments.
All right, Tevin, thank you. Major changes coming to travelers all across the country beginning today. A real ID card will be required to fly within the U.S. Our Laura Melendez is inside Logan Airport this morning with reaction from travelers.
The biggest thing to know is that today is not the Real ID deadline day, it's the enforcement day. So if you show up to the airport, they're going to be making sure you have that star at the top right-hand corner of your license. However, if you do have a domestic flight later on and you don't have that Real ID, you're going to want to listen up.
You can still get your Real ID on and after May 7th. If you don't have a Real ID and you have like a U.S. passport, a military DOD ID, or some form of acceptable identification, you're going to be fine. You're going to go right through the line with all the individuals who have a regular Real ID.
Listen, long airport lines can be the difference between making your flight or missing it. And if you get to Logan or any other airport without a Real ID or a valid passport, you will have to go through extra screening. TSA will likely need to ask you a series of questions. They may even go through your bag. Worst case scenario, you could even be denied entry. Now, again, all of this is to keep you safe. Remember, the Real ID Act became necessary after the 9/11 terrorist attacks, and the federal government set these new security standards to make sure that we are all protected. So when you get to the airport, you're going to see these Real ID signs posted everywhere. They're almost impossible to miss. And yes, you can still make an appointment with the RMV. They're harder to come by, but the most important thing is that if you have a domestic flight and you show up to the airport, you have that Real ID ready and in hand so that you can get through TSA without any hiccups. Reporting at Logan Airport, I'm Lauren Melendez.
That's great information, Lauren. You hear the music, you sense the urgency. Now to the Celtics looking to bounce back in Game 2 tonight against the New York Knicks. Kristaps Porzingis on the Celtics listed as probable. You know, he left the game early during Game 1, playing for 13 minutes before feeling sick. Head coach Joe Mazzulla says he's doing much better. Might have been connected to that viral illness that made him miss 8 games in March. The Celtics were stunned by New York in a 108-105 overtime loss. Here's Mazzulla on how they will approach this series going forward.
We talk about managing expectations. It's not supposed to go a certain way, you know, and so every series is different, every season is different, and so you just have to manage the expectations and focus on the things that you know you can control within a game.
So the Celtics no longer have home court advantage, but there is a long way to go in this series. Here are 3 things the C's need to do to bounce back. From our very own Raul Martinez, the three-point shooting was bad in Game 1 with 45 missed threes. 45. The key here is that better balance. The C's are a great three-point shooting team, but they have to find a way to attack the basket and get to the free throw line. Bring the physicality to the Knicks and get them in foul trouble. Now, number 2, the Knicks rely heavily on their star guard Jalen Brunson. He's been clutch already in these playoffs, so the Celtics defense needs to do a better job of locking him down and getting the ball out of his hands. And number 3, it's time for Jason Tatum to take over. He scored only 23 points on Monday and shot just 30% from the field, so a hot start for him can set the tone tonight.
Well, Game 2 coverage of our sister station, NBC Sports Boston, starts at 6 o'clock. They do it the best. Be sure to join them immediately following the game. Stick around for post coverage, live for full analysis, and hear from the players and the coaches. Also this, a broken taillight and Karen Reed's voicemails. They're taking center stage at her trial. Our Manash Kongwari has been on top of the story from the very beginning, outside the courthouse in Dedham this morning with what was said.
Yesterday in court, we heard F-bombs and insults while screaming. Karen Reed leaving voicemails to John O'Keefe the night he died. 8 voicemails in total, all played aloud before the court. Karen Reed is accused of backing her SUV into John O'Keefe outside 34 Fairview Road in Canton and leaving him to die there on the front lawn. Yesterday, we learned about the effort to search for evidence after his body was transported to the hospital. The defense believes Reed is being framed and believes pieces of taillight evidence were planted at the scene to point the finger at Reed, who they believe cracked her taillight by backing into another car. Well, the first set of police arrived to the home where O'Keefe was found in the morning, led by retired Lieutenant Paul Gallagher, who testified that he did not see any pieces of taillight. Hours later, a new team led by Mass State Police Lieutenant Kevin O'Hara showed up, and he says they did find pieces of taillight.
That night, do you recall if there was any other pieces of taillight recovered? I believe in total we located maybe 6 or 7 pieces of taillight.
It should be noted roughly 2 feet of snow fell the night John O'Keefe died. Reporting in Dedham, I'm Minash Kungwari.
And a reminder, we will carry the testimony live here on NECN. Should begin any moment now. You can stream it on our website as well, NBC10Boston.com, and then tune in tonight at 7 o'clock for Canton Confidential, a complete recap of all of the key testimony from today and this week in court.
Stunning video this morning of a person slashing tires in Jamaica Plain. You can see them walk up to what looks like a school bus van and just repeatedly stab the front tire with an unknown object. This was Monday afternoon on Walden Street. Police have yet to make an arrest. If you have any information, you're urged to contact them. And also this morning, Waltham police are offering a $5,000 reward for information about this suspicious fire. Flames broke out at 2 empty buildings last month on the former Fernald School campus. Well, the fire is now being investigated as arson. Investigators believe it could be connected to 2 other incidents at that site back in December and in January.
President Trump telling Canada's new prime minister, never say never, inside the highly anticipated visit.
Legendary musician Smokey Robinson and his wife are facing sexual assault lawsuit. So details on the allegations they're facing from several employees. Welcome back, everybody. This morning, the leader of Pakistan says India has carried out an act of war against the country. The comment follows a deadly missile strike launched by India into the contested region of Kashmir. Both nations lay claim to that territory. Pakistani officials say 26 people, including a child, were killed in the strike. India's defense secretary says the missile attack was only meant to target infrastructure. The action was preemptive, they say, to stop terrorist militants. Following that strike, Pakistan claimed to have shot down several Indian fighter jets by the Kashmir border. Another U.S. fighter jet is lost in the Red Sea after going overboard from the USS Harry S. Truman aircraft carrier. It's the second time this has happened in 8 days. 2 U.S. officials tell NBC News the jet went off the deck as it landed Tuesday night. An initial report revealed the wire that slows down the aircraft continued to accelerate, which caused it to go into the water. The 2 aviators ejected themselves, and they are expected to be okay. Authorities are investigating.
4 former housekeepers for Motown legend Smokey Robinson have now filed a lawsuit. They accuse him of repeated sexual assault. So the suit claims the assaults happened mostly at Robinson's California home between 2007 and 2024. The women say Frances, Robinson's wife, enabled the behavior and berated them with ethnic slurs, which contributed to a hostile work environment. Their attorney says they worked long hours for less than minimum wage. The women are seeking $50 million in damages. Representatives for Robinson did not immediately respond to requests for comment from NBC News.
Jury selection expected to wrap up today for the Sean Diddy Combs trial. Opening statements are scheduled to begin on Monday. Prosecutors are expected to cast Combs as the head of a criminal organization who used his fame and power to sexually assault women, while the defense says he only engaged in consensual sexual activity. Combs has pleaded not guilty to various crimes, including racketeering, kidnapping, and sex trafficking. He's currently being held without bail in a Brooklyn detention center.
Donations keep rolling in for Luigi Mangione's legal defense fund. His defense team says he's received more than $1 million. Mangione is accused of killing the CEO of United Healthcare, Brian Thompson, outside a Midtown Manhattan hotel. Now, if convicted, Mangione could be sentenced to death. His defense team says roughly 28,000 individual donations have been made. The money will cover expenses associated with the criminal cases against Mangione in both New York, Pennsylvania. Mangione has pleaded not guilty.
All right, let's turn to our weather right now.
Let's talk about it. Yes, maybe a change in the air today, which is some good news. Here's meteorologist Tevin Wooten.
We've got not only some more sunshine today, but warmer weather as well. There is an area of low pressure that is in the vicinity that will actually bring a couple of spot showers and sprinkles through the early part of the afternoon, but it's not likely to be something that's going to be widespread like in days past, for example. This is yesterday's rainfall, and this will be today's issue, which is why at the very least we still have some cloudy skies, but overall the core of this will go northbound. Now the next system is already formed, and it's across the northern Gulf Coast and should actually arrive sometime Friday morning and be rounds of rainfall throughout the day Friday. We say sayonara to that by Saturday midday and into Mother's Day on Sunday and early next week too on Monday with high pressure coming back in. That brings brings in the sunshine, and temperatures will actually be warming up. In fact, check out what is on the way in coming days. We'll be in the 60s and 70s through Thursday, 50s for Friday, 60s are back Saturday, and then Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday of next week, temperatures take off into the upper 70s. Before you take off today, just know that there will be some clouds here or there mixed in with sunshine throughout the day, throughout the entire region. But again, this is still at or above the norm for most of us, with highs in Boston at about 70 degrees, 71 across Worcester, and even Providence not doing too shabby. Across the south coast, because of that southerly influence that drags in some of the cooler air that sits out across the sound, that will bring in some cooler air along the immediate coastline. Even across Manchester, though, we are much warmer with temperatures at 72. That quick chance of rain arrives at about 4 or 5, first across Nashua, Laconia, and Worcester, and then races off towards the east. This is not likely to be downpours, and also no severe weather as well, just really garden variety showers here or there, but shouldn't stop you from making a tea time today. Just know when those clouds start to increase, you'll likely have one or two quick showers, but I think most of the morning tea times and afternoon tea times today are fine. Chance of rain really ramps up on Friday. This is because of that area of low pressure. Remember, it's across the northern Gulf Coast, so it will take some time to arrive for us, but once it does, you will know it. I mean, we will be in this for 18, if not 24 hours of Friday, and then some of Saturday morning as well. We're very confident, though, that this is likely to end by Saturday mid-morning. So timing this out, if you've got outdoor plans, tomorrow you're okay. Friday, not quite as lovely just because of the gusty winds that we've also got and the onshore breeze that keeps us down into the 50s for highs, low maybe mid-50s at best. And then by Saturday morning at 11 o'clock, now it's starting to clear southern New England and should eventually clear northern New England at 2 or 3 in the afternoon. The 10-day forecast has mostly dry skies today, all dry skies tomorrow at 70 degrees. Downpours all day long on Friday, but we get rid of that just in time for Mother's Day weekend. 70 degrees on Mother's Day, and a big time warm up coming too next Monday and Tuesday with highs in the mid to upper 70s. We'll likely drop back down with more showers next Wednesday and Thursday.
All right, sounds good, Tevin. Thank you. The new Prime Minister of Canada made his first visit to Washington.
His name is Mark Carney. Met with President Trump at the White House yesterday. This high-stakes meeting was overshadowed by President Trump's trade war with our northern neighbors. The White House imposed a 25% tariff on Canadian steel and aluminum along with auto imports. The Canadian Prime Minister pushed back on President Trump's talks about making Canada the 51st state.
As you know from real estate, there are some places that are never for sale. And having met with the owners of Canada over the course of the campaign last several months, it's not for sale, won't be for sale ever.
Never say never.
We'll have much more on these meetings coming up later in the show. Well, this weekend, U.S. Treasury Secretary and U.S. trade officials will meet with their Chinese counterparts in Switzerland, the White House says. They will discuss economic and trade matters. It's a major step to beginning trade negotiations with Beijing. This will be the first meeting of its kind ever since President Trump slapped a more than 100% tariff on all products imported from China.
The Trump administration also shut down a CDC committee. It focused on developing preventative measures to control the spread of infections in healthcare facilities. The committee crafted the national standards for most U.S. hospitals, including hand washing, mask wearing, and isolating sick patients. Now, a letter reviewed by NBC News says the termination of its members took effect last month, but employees were told last Friday. The termination of the committee aligns with President Trump's plan to reduce the federal workforce. Okay, 9:21 right now, and testimony about to resume in the Karen Reed retrial.
Let's listen in live right now at Norfolk Superior Court in Dedham, Massachusetts.
Good morning, sir. Follow me. Now step up, raise your right hand. Thank you, clerk. Thank you.
You raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear the evidence given to the court and jury in the case now and hearing should be truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Brennan, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Could you please introduce yourself to the jury, spell your last name for the record?
Sure, my name is Connor Keefe. The last name is K-E-E-F-E.
Mr. Keefe, where do you work?
I work for the Massachusetts State Police.
What's your position with the Massachusetts State Police?
I'm assigned to the Norfolk District Attorney's Office.
Are you
within your unit? Did Trooper DeChico have a nickname for a first name?
Objection.
May we approach?
Okay, you've been listening to testimony there from Trooper Keefe, cross-examined by the defense right there, and they're trying to get at the interviews that were conducted and the evidence that was analyzed in the moments and the days after this investigation was continuing here.
So as we look at the fan cam right now, we know that they're in the conversations with Judge Beverly Cannoni, but what we're also hearing on the stand so far from Trooper Connor Keefe is the fact that he worked in collaboration with former Lieutenant Michael Proctor, who was the lead investigator on this case, who's a controversial figure who was in trouble, hot water, because of his conduct during the first trial.
Correct, and the defense, they're trying to connect the two there into which parts of the case that they worked on together, who did the analyzing of the evidence, et cetera, et cetera. Both sides coming back from this sidebar once again, and we will listen into testimony as we continue here.
Trooper, in terms of the troopers that were in your unit as of January 29th of 2022, which members of the unit had the least amount of time in the unit at that time?
I don't recall.
Were you one of the newer members of the unit?
As of January of 2022?
Yes.
Yes.